All right. Everybody say hello. Not that they can see you, but I have not seen any of this yet. I've now seen the intro. We're going to launch the client in the background so we get a bit of noise happening. Just a little bit of background noise. There we go. All right, let's go. Ultimatum Manifesto. Alongside every new league, we aim to make balance changes to a wide variety of blah blah blah. This league, we focused on rebalancing a few specific game mechanics related to the new blood-themed skills and Val skills, while lowering the power of specific mechanics that were dominating the meta game and were far too above the level of power that we aim for. Okay. All right. Also made some changes to the Atlas passive tree after reviewing their balance in both ritual and core. Ooh. We include the changes to the league rewards described in the announcement. All right. Balance changes to the new low life casting. Low life, low mana, and low energy shield now all count as being 50% or below. This new threshold is both a bit more obvious at a glance and the large enough values that player could survive for a while on low life. Yep, sure. Blah blah blah. The skill passives have been rebalanced to compensate. For example, the punishment curse effect causes the enemy to take more damage while on low life has been reduced in power. I mean, sure, it probably didn't need to be, but whatever. It's similar changes to the Assassin's Ambush and Assassinate, Infernal Mantle, and Replica Last Resort. Damn, I was looking at that. Blood magic support's been split, lack of damage multiplier, blah blah blah. Right, yep, so one for actual skills and one for your auras. That's fine. So a small number of there are a small number of new passive clusters on the passive skill tree for generic physical damage, as well as a physical damage over time multiplier to better support the new skills. All right. Certain sources of bleeding damage and damage over time multiplier for bleeding have been changed to physical damage over time multiplier to let them apply to the corrupted blood and to the new reap and exsanguinate skills. Good stuff. These include the gladiators gratuitous violence passive and the ascendance gladiator notable. Cool. All bleed related passives and modifiers have been changed, so full bleed investment won't always look the same. Okay. Corrupting blood now never counts as bleed damage, so reduction to bleeding damage taken will no longer affect it. The staunching flask modifier and Pathfinder's Master Surgeon notable now state that it applies to both bleeding and corrupting blood. Corrupting blood's damage has been rebalanced so it's more consistent between sources, so specific monsters that have very high corrupting blood damage will no longer be as strong, while others that dealt almost no damage will be dealing more noticeable amounts. What I'm hearing is I can still just put a corrupting blood immunity jewel on and forget that the mechanic exists, at least from it getting applied to me state, so that's that's fine by me. I never knew corrupting blood had different levels of damage from mobs. Yeah, it's based on the base mob type, or at least it was. So like a bear that had really slow but large hitting attacks would put a much larger corrupting blood on you than like a little bird that had rapid little tiny attacks. Not that it ever mattered, because we were just immune to corrupting blood all the time, which is still what we'll do. So no functional change there unless you're actually using it to apply corrupting blood to other people. Blade Storm now has a multiplier for bleeding damage while in blood stance, similar to multiplier on lacerate. Enable bleed builds to use the same skill. Yeah, Elder influenced weapon modifiers that grant chances for poison and bleed to inflict with this 100% more damage has been removed. In their place, Elder influence weapons can now roll a new local poison or bleed damage over time multiplier. The double damage chance modifiers were too multiplicative and powerful for these builds, providing that could be a problem for them. Been changed to affect this additive with other bleed and poison damage multipliers. Ooh. Okay. The way skills specifically, the way skills specify costs has been refactored. Skills now specify what research they use. Consistently, stats can specify whether they affect all cost reductions or some combinations. For example, Ratchet's Decree Notable and Temper now reduces mana cost of skills, while the Tireless Notable affects all cost of skills. Ah, okay. Alright. Existing passive skills have been updated to affect blah blah blah. Ooh, not blah blah blah. Some existing passive skills and items have been updated to affect all costs or reservations, but many effects are now resource specific where appropriate, like the inspiration support. These changes also open up new possibility for alternative costs. For example, the Chainbreaker Keystone no longer removes rage on hit, instead adding a small rage cost to all skills, which would then be affected by skill cost modifiers. This has allowed us to keep Chainbreaker functional for spells while still losing rage when used alongside skills that don't hit, like damage over time skills or mines or totems, presumably. As a major benefit of these changes, reservation skills no longer have an associated cost by default, so you don't need the current mana available to reserve a skill. Even when your mana is completely depleted, you can still enable an aura, making it easier to swap out auras or turn one on again if you accidentally disable it. That's huge. I like that. I like that. That's really nice. Because of this, mine skills now have both a mana cost and mana reservation. It means that both of the modifiers to cost and reservation both apply to the appropriate parts of the mine cost. Indigo no longer provides spell damage without affecting the mine's cost at all. Yeah, okay, whatever. Alright. Atlas passive balance. We've made some changes to the Atlas passive for a variety of reasons. Certain modifiers provided more rewards than the average rewards granted by the Atlas passives, so we've changed their rewards to be lower. Some obvious ones are high value targets and diplomatic escort, yep, while others are more subtle, like, ooh, that's a word, seance, which effectively added so much item quantity to areas that was subtly boosting core drops, like maps and more from a single Atlas mechanic should have. Sure. Certain modifiers provided fewer rewards than standard rewards per point invested, and their chance of rewards has been increased. For example, the reward from the Invasion Exotic Good Notable have been improved. That's good, because that was like literally unnoticeable. Like I couldn't tell when I put it on. And I tried. I looked. But certain effects made more sense grouped up together, like the incursion passive saying all monsters in incursions are at least magic has been moved off Glencans and into the existing time dilation modifier in Lexajoris. So Lexajoris is now completely focused on having more rewarding individual incursion runs, and Glencans is focused on creating the best possible temples. Cool. Cool. Ritual has been added to Halleck Hamlet with 2 notables available. It replaces Beyond there. Power Hungry no longer exists, and the Per Diem notable has been moved to Glencans at a slightly lower value, as the pun was too good not to keep. Per Demon? Per... It... I feel embarrassed. I don't get the pun. I feel like I should get the pun. I feel like I should be embarrassed by that. Let's move on and pretend that it didn't happen? No one heard anything? Right. Val skills. We've made a balanced pass on damaging Val skills, making them more interesting choice relative to the Val skill that provided the ongoing buff. We want damaging Val skills in particular to have more reason to be used by a larger variety of builds. The uptime for Val skills has been improved via various means. Soul generation on unique monsters has increased to 6 souls per 2% life lost with a 1-second cooldown. This is twice as many as before. I like it. Damaging Val skills have had their soul gain prevention time lowered relative to the duration of the Val skill. For Val skills that don't have a duration, the ongoing effect of soul gain prevention is usually just 1 second. That's very nice. I like that. I like that. Reduces the Val soul requirement and or increases the number of uses on Val skills that have relatively low impact per use compared to other skills. Okay, cool. A balance pass has been made on all damaging Val skills. Note that in all cases these have been buffed except for Val Righteous Fire, which now provides less damage to spells while active and now sacrifices a larger amount of your total energy shield and life. We felt it was too easy for spellcasters to use the skill to get significantly more spell damage for a longer duration, with very little downside. Note that the fire damage over time aspect of the skill has been increased, keeping it an attractive option for build focused on burning damage. Okay. Sure. We've introduced several new unique items and made adjustments to existing ones to either give higher uptime to Val skills or some cost, or allow you to utilize Val skills more easily on builds that struggle to fit them in. Sure. All right, whatever. Skill balance changes. Okay, here we go. We've made balance passes on a large variety of skills that are performing above acceptable power levels, either through damage, speed of clearing content, or defensive benefits. Please stop hitting defenses. Anyway. These include Blade Vortex, Blade Blast, Toxic Rain, General Cry with channeling skills, Seismic Cry, Carrion Golem, and Vitality. Carrion Golem? It's not even that good, y'all. Calm down. What did Carrion Golem do to you? It's not even that good. Alright, whatever. Frostbomb and Wave of Conviction have had their exposure values lowered. These skills provided too large of an elemental resistance reduction compared to other mechanics that had higher investments or penalties against bosses. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, Carrying Golem, it was really a good build. But for the amount we had to invest into it to make it a good League Start build, it was trash. Like, compared to the amount I had to put in, it comes under the trash category for me. Like, it was really good, but it cost so much that I could have done other things with that money. Like, I don't get that. But sure. Whatever. Flesh and Stone now has a 35% mana reservation from 25. The defensive power of the Sand Stance and the offensive power of the Blood Stance was too high to other reservation effects. I kind of disagree. We've added a small reduction to the stance skill reservation cost on the Blood and Sand specialization cluster near the duelist to bring it slightly down to be more appropriate. Sure. Vigilant Strike and its threshold jewel, the Vigil, have been changed how they handle fortify duration and for the duration granted so that Vigil doesn't result in a very long duration fortify effect, instead granting a shorter fortify than the high level Vigilant Strike. Vigilant Strike's base fortify duration now scales with gem level rather than through increased fortify duration stat. Previously, players could gain 30 seconds of fortify from 2 sockets in a single jewel, which was far too cheap for the defensive power offered. Okay, but like what is it now? Is it 10 seconds? Is it 4 seconds? Is it like, what is it? What is it? Divergent Berserk's alternate quality now grants the Berserk buff 0.25% more spell damage from 1%. That is a 75% nerf. What? Yikes. Yikes. Compared with other effect increase, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's still good. I'm not gonna lie, it's still good. It just, like, it's still gonna get used. It's definitely still gonna get used. Alright. General balance question. It's all nerfs. I love that. It's all nerfs. Oh. Quivers and caster offhands. Critical strike chance, critical strike multiplier, damage over time multiplier, and chain modifiers on quivers now only apply to attacks or bow skills. The Signal, Fire, and Rigwald's Quill quivers have also had their physical damage added as fire and projectiles fork modifiers to be changed to only apply with attacks. What? Why? Bows with quivers could outclass many caster weapons for various builds. This brings the total offensive power to a more reasonable balance without removing the option entirely. No, you've misunderstood. That is no longer an option, period. End of story. You've removed the option, sir. You've removed the option. That is not what's happened. You have removed the option. Now, look. Okay, so quick point of order on that note right there is that we've just said we're playing a game where the idea of this game is that you can do anything with anything. And then they've gone, I'm sorry, we're going to stop you from using spells while wielding a bow, is what you've done, which is not able to do anything with anything. Why? It wasn't even that powerful. It wasn't super prominent. It's not like it was the only option. Like it was never really the only option. In fact, in many cases, it wasn't even the best option. It was just like sometimes an option and sometimes not. But like, they're taking away options for no reason that aren't overpowered with this one. And that seems a bit odd, right? That seems a bit odd. Like the entire essence of the game from top to bottom is I can do anything as anything, right? So it just seems odd to take away options that were frankly never that strong to begin with. It was just like a sometimes option that you could do. Why take that away? That's a weird, there's a weird node. Someone's got some thoughts in their head on the balance team there that aren't actually the reality of the game. I don't know where this came from. That's fucking weird. It's fucking weird. Moving on. Physical explosion body armors. Influenced and synthesis modifiers that caused enemies killed to explode, dealing physical damage, will no longer have a 100% chance to apply. Their replacement modifier grants enemies you kill have a chance to explode, dealing their 1/10 of their life as physical damage. With the new lower tier influence mod being introduced that has a lower chance. This keeps the mechanic and opens up the possibility of stacking explode chance with high investment, but will no longer reliably wipe out packs through a chain reaction of explosions. Okay. I'm on board. So the thing is, in most builds, I always want explode. I always want explode. But I don't think I should. I hate that that's the default. So I hope they also apply this to like other things that are 100% chance to explode, like Impulsor and whatnot. Otherwise, you've just moved us from like one version of explode chaining to the other version of explode chaining. So I'd like to, you know, whatever. But either way, that's sad to see that, but also fair. It's fine. That's fine. Harvest monster life. The base life of all harvest monsters has been reduced by 30 to 50%, but the harvest machinery give monsters around it 100% increased life on average. The intention is that no difficulty change to the harvest fight, but the harvest monsters created with desecrate skill are the life values more in line with other desecratable monsters in the game. I never really wanted to play Detonate Dead anyway, I guess. I guess. Detonate Dead wasn't even that OP or anything. There's some weird ones in here. There's some weird ones in here. I mean, frankly, even if the primordial clutch cores get 50%, you'll still use them. They're still part of it. Like, you'll still use them. The build hasn't changed. It's a little less damage, but not. It'll kind of still be fine. Like, crush claws are still going to have massive amounts of health. It'll still be fine. Don't worry about it. Hexproof. Modifiers that allow your hexes to affect hexproof enemies, such as Cosprey's Will unique body armor, will no longer allow your hexes to affect yourself while you have hexproof, as you are not your own enemy. They finally did it. They finally did it. They finally killed. Oh man, you know what? You know what scares me about this line? Such as the Cosprey's Will unique body armor. Did they remember occultists as well? Or do we just now only make occultists and it still works? You remember all the hype we had the first time they were like, we're killing self-curse, and then no one made one for like the entire league, but it just worked. It just worked when it was an occultist. Even though no one made one and everyone was like, oh, self-curse is dead. No one fucking made one, and occultist has just been working forever. So like, this is like the third time they've killed self-curse. So like, let's just see, right? Like, let's just see. We'll see. Like, we'll see. We'll see. Poison Sextant. The Sextant modifier, which grants players increased damage and movement skill for each poison on them, has been removed. Good stuff. Savvy players could run every map with this Sextant applied, usually through fracturing specific maps. And the Harvest map enchant that didn't consume Sextant uses. This wasn't the usual way of doing it at all, but look, you got to the right result, so we won't nitpick. With certain items that allow you to apply a larger number of poison buffs to themselves, they could achieve extreme extra damage and movement speed for little investment. Note to partially compensate. As we believe self-poison to be an interesting playstyle, we have added new unique items that retain damage and movement speed per poisons. However, these stats will be capped at a specific value. So even without self-poison and with a 50% damage nerf, Bladefall, Blade Blast, Poison is still a perfectly fine build. So if there's something that brings us back, like it'll probably be fine. I'm sure people will complain about it, but it'll probably be fine. And this Poison Sextant didn't, it shouldn't have. It's been there too long. Good move. Happy. Good move. Happy. Yeah, I also read nothing about Plague Variant here, which is it'll be fine. Right. Fractured fossil and beast splitting. Splitting an item through beast crafting now applies a split tag to both items, similar to the mirror tag. Items that have fractured fossil used on them will also gain the split tag. Holy fuck. Split items cannot be split again and cannot have imprints made of them or applied to them. Get fucked. Oh my god. This is hilarious. Okay, so fractured map farming is off the table. 100% delirious is still fine. We just don't fracture them anymore. Read the edit? Why wouldn't you put the edit there? There was an error with fractured fossil beast splitting section that stated that split items can't be mirrored. Split items can be mirrored. The post has been updated to reflect that. I didn't need to read that. I didn't need to read that. That told me nothing. They already fixed this. So, this is fun. I'm actually a fan of this change. This is a good change, even though it personally hurts me. I still think it's good. I think that's a good overall change that's healthy for the game. I don't love it, but I don't love it on a personal level, but that's a good change. I hate to see you go, but I love to watch you leave. Right. Atlas mission sustain. We've removed the bonus mission chance from awakening objective bonuses, as Atlas passes combined with this bonus and other mechanics were resulting in an almost endless supply of missions. This was a good thing. This was a good thing. Don't take this away from me. We decided to keep the Atlas passes at full strength, remove the awakening objective bonus so that people could choose to invest in the Atlas missions if they desired. Whatever. Delirium item quantity and rarity. We've lowered the standardized amount of item and quantity and rarity granted by Delirium Fog. So they now give up to double the inbuilt rarity on items and up to 50% the item quantity of monsters. This is now capped at maximum depth rather than 50% depths, which was previously the case. Okay. Whatever. That's fine. Man, I keep coming back to this one. This is the most exciting change I've seen in a while. Man, they have really shifted up the meta now. They've hit so many different ways that the like 1% make all their money that's out of reach of different players. They've hit so many of those different things. I'm not saying there aren't plenty left for us to do, but I am saying they've really cucked a lot of the like elite ways to make money. Like just like time after time, like hit after hit, they're really knocking the 1% down, and I kind of love that. And they're really meta shifting the whole game around, which I love. That's really cool. Yeah, it's I'm gonna have to think of, that's fine, I'll find other ways to make money, but they've literally, like, if I was to list out the ways where I could make tons of money and I listed out the top 10 things that I could personally do, it feels like 8 of them disappeared this patch. But these are all things that most people don't even have access to. So I'm kind of okay. It's kind of okay. They're kind of just hitting the top 1% over and over again, and I'm kind of okay with it. I kind of okay with it. Like, hit me harder, daddy. I don't know what. We'll see. We'll see. It's gonna be interesting. They're really changing things up. Interesting stuff. All right, passive tree changes. All right, we worry about how accessible normally scarce stats such as AoE and skill effect duration, aura effect, and projectile speed are on cluster notables, given you can stack notable on the same passive tree. As a result, we have made small numerical nerfs to several cluster dual notables. Okay, this always scares me. A sentence like this always scares me, because you know they never ever do what they say they're gonna do. You know how they're like, we made 50 meaningful changes and nothing happened. But whenever they say we've made some small numerical nerfs, they tend to fuck things real hard. I'm a little worried about what's going on here. Their small numerical nerfs could be deleting things. I'm just saying. Yeah, and it's area of effect, skill duration, aura effect, and projectile speed. Like, that's we'll see. Anyway, that could be some problem. We'll find out tomorrow. Yep. Relatively minor ascendancy chain Pain Reaver has been replaced with a new passive skill on the Berserker, providing defensive benefits once you lose life from an enemy hit. It is designed as a high risk defensive recovery mechanic, granting a faster leech rate from Pain Reaver more easily, but with the associated risk. Effect of the Berserkers, blah blah blah, is no longer limited to attacks. Small passives apply 10% increased physical damage instead of the 12% physical damage with attacks. Okay. Aura stackers in trouble? I mean, probably not. Maybe. I don't know. Give me actual numbers of like what this is, and then we'll tell you. Right? I don't know. Probably not. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. Alright. What else we got? Immortal Ambitions Keystone Life Leech Effects Recovery Energy Shield instead, when on full life stack, is now limited by maximum total energy shield recovery from Leech instead of maximum total life recovery from Leech. Really? Combined with the Corrupted Soul Keystone, power recovery from this leech it provided, blah blah blah, greatly increased the character's combined recovery. This change preserves the deviable life effect while not being removed a full life aspect of the keystone, but limits how you can use it to recover your energy shield pool. This was a very nice defensive mechanic, but it really doesn't feel OP. Like, it wasn't on every build ever. Like, there are more OP things than this. It's just, it's weird that they do keep hitting it's weird that they keep hitting defenses when we actually need more options for defenses, not less. So, but again, it's not enough of a nerf that I wouldn't still use it. I still would use it. Right? Like, it's fine. I'd still use it. I would definitely still use it, so that's fine. Right. Corrupted Soul Keystone now gains 15% life as energy shield instead of 20. No other changes? No other changes. Okay. I mean, again, same deal. Very powerful, but I didn't think overpowered. I didn't think it needed to be changed, but it's not changed by enough that you wouldn't use it in the build that previously was, so it's probably fine. As mentioned above, the Chainbreaker Keystone no longer causes you to lose 5 rage when you hit an enemy, but now instead has a skill cost of +3 rage. The Keystone allowed certain skills that either did not hit, such as Bane, or skills that didn't count as used, such as Totems or Mines, to completely bypass the downside. Huh. So planting a totem would now cost me 3 rage. Is that is that true? Three plus mana multipliers, yeah. Okay. So it would cost like 18 rage to place a totem, yeah. Okay. That... Huh. I don't know if that's still usable. Don't know if that's still usable. It certainly won't be prevalent. If it is still usable, you will have to... It'll be in like specific builds made for it, not just able to be slapped onto other builds. See, but if they did this, they didn't need to change the rage. They didn't need to change the Divergent Berserk. This was all like, they're doing the multi-tap thing. You only need to hit things once from one side. This would be fine. Look, whatever. Moving on. Presumed dead. I'm gonna say this is like body lost, presumed dead. Like, I won't be shocked if someone's wandering around next league and like finds its body somewhere and is like, this thing's still alive. But like, for now, we're gonna presume it dead. Yeah, that's what I'm going with. Lost and presumed dead Chainbreaker. Right. Hardened Scars no longer grants Fortify during the effect of any life flask. Instead now grants Fortify while recovering life from a life flask. You know what? Yeah. Rangers and Pathfinders and stuff were already way too tanky. Bullshit. Sorry. They definitely needed some of their defensive mechanics taken away. Lies. Anyway, but that's fine. While the notable is getting Fortify too easy to any character who could maintain uptime on a hallowed hybrid flask with an enduring prefix. Yeah, sure. Whatever. The Necromancer's Essence Glutton notable has had the amount of mana regenerated when you consume a corpse lowered from 8% to 4%. It was providing more base regen than any other source. I never played DD builds, so I never took that anyway, so I don't care. Primal Aegis from Elementalist Bastion of Elements now takes 75 damage per allocated notable, up from 100. Is that the only change to Elementalist? Is that it? Pog. All right, let's go. Huh. Overall thoughts, initial thoughts. I'm going to call it 8 out of 10. Overall happy with with most of it. Slightly confused on a few points, and one point in the list that's complete garbage and shouldn't have been done. The bit where they were like, we're not gonna let spells use quivers anymore. Like, that just garbage change. I don't like that. That doesn't make any sense. They were never that strong to begin with. That there's no reason to take that option away from people. A little bit concerned on how like Bleed Bow will go without the mod, because Bleed Bow felt really bad without that mod, but hopefully there's some balance changes in the actual patch notes that, like, you know, make up for the damage loss that they've lost. But other than that, everything else is really happy. I hope this works and that goes away. And I'm fucking super happy about this. The longer I think about it, the more happy I am with this change. I would like to apologize to everyone who really enjoys deep delving as their point of content though, because your content is now worthless and no one wants to buy your fractured fossils, and I'm really sorry. But other than that, actually pretty happy with this, even though I know I used a lot of these and I know that it's what I was planning on using next league. But this is just like a big meta shift. This is just going to make me think of different things to do, right? So I'm on board. I'm on board. This is a good change. Meta shift equals successful patch notes. Yeah. This doesn't, other than that one change to like spell bow quivers. Other than that one, everything on here looks pretty appropriate and good. And they've even done an amazing job here in this area where they've like nerfed some things here. This feels like they've almost nailed nerfs, like they wanted them to be a little weaker but still usable, and that's how they feel to me at those numbers. I'm like, okay, that's not as powerful as it was, but I would still put it on the build that was using it before. And so if you would still wear it, then obviously the nerf is fine, and I would still wear both of those things. So everything's good. I'm on board. I'm on board. I have seen a bunch of comments about other people complaining and crying about this node. I don't know why you would. This is fine. This is fine. This is really good. This really only like it really heavily negatively affects your like top 0.1% moneymaker crafter people. But like your average player only gets affected by like 10% of that trickle down economy. Like the little trickle down thing that happens. Like, yeah, okay, there used to be like a lot of 6 white bases that were the fail state of our big crafts that got handed off to other people cheap. Yes, you won't have access to those anymore. But what we lost was, you know, hundreds and hundreds of exalt a day to the people who were doing this. So that makes your exalt that you drop worth significantly more than it was before. Like, this is fine. This is fine. There's a huge shift around how we're going to have to do things this league, and that excites me. I like change. So 8 out of 10, very solid, very happy. Very solid, very happy. On board.